Good afternoon, dear investors. I'm very happy to see so many of you here again today. This is now the fifth time I believe we have the Investors Day event. Please find a seat and we are about to start. So this is our program today. Our CFO Andrus Ait will introduce the Port of Tallinn today to the people who are maybe not that familiar with it yet and only considering the investments. And we will hear about the situation today from the financial perspective. We talk about volumes. Then Valdo Kalm, the CEO, will tell us where we are today and what we're going to do in the future. About the vision of Port of Tallinn and the strategic outlook in this stormy situation as we have it today. And then Piret is the next speaker, who is the business development manager, and she will discuss the real estate development of the Old City Harbour. It has not been discussed much yet, but this is an overview and the future direction. So hopefully what is going to happen next. Then, and the last speaker tonight is Margus Vihman, who is our CCO, and he will discuss new business opportunities, the growth, and what is on our table right now. Thank you very much, and Andrus, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. My name is Andrus Ait, and I'm the CFO of Port of Tallinn. We held a similar event about a year ago in this building here in the cruise terminal, and at that time we discussed offshore wind farms and the value chain related to offshore wind farms, where the Port of Tallinn could contribute in the future. Now these projects are also all on the table for us today, so we'll be discussing them one by one. So as a way of introduction, I will first discuss the situation as it is today. Then later we'll talk about opportunities for the future. Then hopefully I will give you background information where we are today, if we have financial capabilities, and where we are actually heading then. So if you have any questions, then please feel free. You can ask your questions at the end of the presentation, or if you have a question that you would like to ask right now, then Mari will help you with the microphone and will try to give you an answer. So feel free to ask all the questions you might have. Now, to start, why we should own the shares of Port of Tallinn. If you are already an investor, then I believe that you have all thought about it at least once. If you're not an investor yet and you're here today, I'm sure you'll be asking this question of yourself: why to own the shares of Port of Tallinn? Now, Port of Tallinn is an infrastructure company with a stable position. So if you look at the long-term horizon, the port has been here since the ancient times, and there is no reason to believe that it's going to disappear. So we are functioning in a sector which is quite stable. And the long-term perspective is one of the arguments in favor of owning the shares, that we are functioning in a stable sector. We have a balanced business model. We have 4 sectors of business, and as times are changing, they have proven themselves. So they react to the economic cycles in the way that in all the sectors there is not going to be a decline at the same time. So that means we do not have all our eggs in the same basket. So previously it has helped us to overcome the corona crisis, and I believe that today, as due to the sanctions, we have seen the decline in cargo business, then this model is also proving its value today and also in the future. We have a very strong cash flow. So EBITDA margin has been 50%. Right now it's just below 50%, about 45% based on 6 months outcome. But I believe that based on these growth projects, which we'll be mentioning during the next presentations, we are able to exceed this 50% limit. Now, the growth projects, which is the key word today, because we are looking for moderate growth all the time. We consider our risks, so we don't want to assume too much risk. But where we have advantages and we can see where our strengths lie, then this is where we will try to enter and improve the value and the cash flow of the company. Then the dividend policy. So ever since the company was listed 2018, so we had the IPO, then it has been established what our dividend policy is. Right now, it means that of the net profit of last year, we pay at least 70% to dividends. So the first years, we had the fixed amount, flat rate as a dividend. And as you can see, the company has exceeded the promise on dividends. So since IPO, we have paid 130.5 million euros as dividends, which is about €0.50 per share. As a background information, if right now we are working on different scenarios when it comes to the future cash flows for company, then we can say that dividend is one of the components of the model which will not be removed, because of course at the end of the day it depends on what our annual meeting says of the General Assembly. But the way we see it is that dividend is the reason why you should own the shares of Port of Tallinn, and this has been the long-term plan for the dividend policy. Now a little bit more about the balanced business model. So this is introduction to our new investors, or for people who are still considering whether to include the Port of Tallinn in the portfolio. What does it actually mean? Because we do own different ports, two cargo harbors. We have Muuga, Paldiski South Harbour, we have Saaremaa Cruise Harbour and Tallinn Old City Harbour. So this is where we are servicing our passengers. Cargo harbors also have a lot of available land, so there's potential for industrial parks. So there is a good possibility for future business. Then for when it comes to passenger ferry passenger vessels, then we have contract with the government until 2026, and then we have Icebreaker Botnica, which is an offshore vessel. So during the winter we break ice in our north coast, and during the summer we participate in different offshore projects. And so there is quite a high demand coming up for this sector as well. And as you could hear, that when it comes to shipping, then part of activity is covered with a contract with the government, which adds stability. So now when it comes to this image here, what is important is that when it comes to the sales revenue and EBITDA, then the three largest segments are quite equal. So previously, the passenger and the cargo harbors have seen a bit of a bigger difference, but we can say that three largest segments take about 1/3, so about 30%, and then 10% is provided by Icebreaker Botnica. Now looking at the details of the passenger figures, then we can say that recent years has seen an impact of a corona pandemic, that's 2020 and 2021. And you can see that the vessel calls, which are marked as red, have been quite stable. So vessel calls is both for passenger and cargo, we get about 45 to 50% of our revenue, so it's very important. Last year, we were able to recover from the pandemic 7 million for the number of passengers. 9-month outcome is 6.1 million, so we have a good growth here. So we believe that if this trend will continue, then we will exceed the 8 million passengers this year. And as of Thursday, Tallink is coming up with the Victoria passenger ship, and this will increase the number of passengers and also vessel calls. And this is a different kind of passenger line. It's a more of a party ship, so it's not going to attract people from other vessels, but rather it also contributes towards growth. So as you can see, then the financial figures of the passenger harbors, then 6 months result shows us a small improvement of margins, and there was a little bit of growth. So we hope that over the next few years, so there was an increase of growth. Due to economic cycles and due to the general condition of the economy, there might be some changes. Based on the previous crisis, we are positive because we could see that although there was a recession, the number of passengers did not go down. The recovery is right now taking place, and we can see that within 3 years we can reach again 10 million passengers. So one potential growth area is the visits of cruise vessels. Now, when we discuss the cargo volumes and the yield of cargo harbors, then over the last 5 years, we have seen 22 million tons per year. As of last year, due to the sanctions, when it comes to liquid bulk and dry bulk, then the volumes went down. So when the sanctions were established, then half of it is from 2022, half of it from 2023, and this is how it has roughly been. But still, when you look at the vessel calls, then the number has not gone down so much, because if we compare 9 months of this year to 9 months of year on year, then we can see that this is still a profitable segment. There has been a decline, but a decline in certain cargo groups creates possibilities for new projects. And we will hear more about them during the next presentations. Now, next, if we look at the shipping and ferry operations, this is stable, the demand is high. We have 5 vessels, 4 of them are new. So one of them is working on batteries, so we have been thinking about greener solutions as well. As I mentioned, we have a contract until the end of the 3rd quarter of 2026. Then we're ready for new procurement because vessels are in good condition, and I'm sure we'll be ready to provide our services between the continent and the big islands during the next period as well. The number of passengers have gone up, and our revenue depends mostly on the number of passengers. Now, if you look at the icebreaker Botnica charter, then we have a 10-year contract for icebreaking for the Estonian north coast. This contract started last year in December for 10 years, so we have 9 years to go on this contract. And over the summer, then we worked a little bit less because the Canadian project where the Botnica has participated over last years, then because they have less iron ore volume than this period was from September till end of October, but as it is true for the cargo harbors, if there is a decline somewhere, then there is an increase somewhere else. So this summer we also participated in 2 more projects. So Botnica was chartered to Equinor as a support vessel for offshore wind farms, and to British Petroleum where they were decommissioning an oil rig. So it was a support vessel. We got very good references. We know there is a very high demand in the sector, which is also positive for the future periods. Now, if you look at the sales revenue and profitability, we have to admit that this is a period of crisis from year 2020 of coronavirus, and then followed by the impact of sanctions. But we have managed to maintain our turnover. And I hope that although there has been a decline, that this decline is not going to be very significant, because we are different segments which are supporting each other. So what is the focus for next year? So right now, We have an efficiency program ongoing. We have been mapping processes concerning our core activities, so we can say that we have seen a very good outcome. So our objective is not to increase expenses, but we would like to see the improvement of revenue through our growth projects. So we have taken certain steps. And over the next presentations, there will be some important information that looking at the economy right now as the times are changing, do we have enough capability for growth projects? Then I can say that we have calculated different scenarios. But you have to measure 9 times and cut once, as the Estonian proverb says. So we are looking at different scenarios for future growth projects, but I really want to say is the company has the capability to generate cash flows, so the revenue is in place. We have a capability for taking loans, and we have over 60% of equity share at the moment, so we can take loans if necessary. So when it comes to all the future projects, which we'll discuss later, then we can say that we are able to contribute. Thank you. That's it from me. Are there any questions? If there are no further questions, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Valdo Kalm, who is the CEO. Thank you very much, Andrus. Dear investors, now I would like to continue, and I would like to confirm certain aspects discussing our strategy. And of course, it is more interesting to discuss the future than the current situation. So this is what we'd like to tell you about. So when it comes to the business strategy, then to sum it all up very briefly on the right-hand side, then we describe growth. So although the sea is rough, we have to find growth opportunities in all segments. And this is clear. And as Andrus said, that when it comes to the cash flow, we have the capability, we can pay out dividends, and at the same time, we can invest wisely. So we are looking for growth projects as a stock exchange listed company should do. But of course, when it comes to the main position on the stock exchange, is to fulfill the dividend policy. So we want to ensure a stable shareholders' income. And this is something we would like to do, especially when the times are hard as they are right now. So, and I believe that we all understand this complicated times will continue next year in certain fields even longer. But when the times are hard, then the infrastructure companies provide the best assurances, especially when we are on the stock exchange, because these main services are always necessary. And if the company has an ability to pay out dividends, then it is a very stable share. Another thing which is very important is responsible business and organizational culture, because we talk about green transition more and more. This is something we will be discussing in detail a little bit later, how to become greener and what are the opportunities of the green transition, not only obligations. And that means that we need to be innovative as we are, because this is our competitive advantage, because we have very busy competitive market, especially on the cargo market, and we want to be innovative when it comes to the digitalization. We review our processes, and we have a sort of horizontal view that we want to map the situation of the company. So this year we are taking a lot of steps to reduce the costs and expenses, and we'll see the impact of it next year. So if you look at the bigger picture, you have to have a 10-year vision. So the main focus is on digitalization. So we are talking about the marine single window. And this means that the reception or the ship arrival is digitalized. You communicate with your partners in a digital way. because a smart port system is there to manage the trucks in the port, in the port. So, but we want to make sure that we have an intelligent system which handles all the information, so you need less labor. When it comes to the infrastructure management, then this is also a system which can be automated because we have a lot of assets. We have 4 harbors, so this is something which needs to be managed. We have a port digital twin already, but in the future, we want to make sure that the bollards and berths will talk to you and tell us when they need maintenance. And at what intervals, and this is all which is doable. Then energy is very important, both for our own consumption and also for the consumption of shipping lines in the future. This is something we also need to work on because for our own consumption, we only use green energy. And it's not all that expensive because we have alternative stock exchange where you can buy the energy from a pool, and this is something we want to work with. We want to be climate neutral and to do that before the year 2050, and we will be climate neutral in all our own activities. But in the entire sector, we can't carry out a green transition until all the vessels are using alternative energy sources. When it comes to cargo business, there are some key words. So our port is multimodal right now. So that means that we can integrate different cargo, different modes of transport. And this is very important because as we've seen in this crisis, because if you lose liquid bulk, you can handle other types of goods, as we do in Muuga and Paldiski, where we also have very good railway connections. And Rail Baltica is right now being constructed. So our strategic aim today, which is also part of growth, is the development of North-South corridor. So we will hear more about it later. We will discuss what we have been doing so far, what we can do in the future. So this is a field where you have to act today. But if you look at the future, the North-South corridor is going to be a most important one because you're providing services for the Scandinavian countries. We do that through Paldiski and Muuga, but there are many other opportunities there as well. So now when it comes to the offshore wind farms, then Margus will tell us a little bit more about the construction and maintenance space. All our plans are on the table. We can see increased interest in entering this business, and another interesting topic are green fuels. Because I think that people don't quite understand yet, and sometimes our government does not really understand how much green energy we need over the next few years. I can give you an example that we can see the use of green energy in road transport, but our clients and operators need a lot of alternative fuel in the future, and the volumes are very high. So I believe on a national level, we need to think about it, how to produce green energy and green electricity. And we believe that wind farms, offshore wind farms are important. Industries need this energy. Transport sector needs quite a lot of it, and the vessels need it as well. Not only passenger vessels, but the cargo vessels as well. They already asking what the opportunities are for alternative types of fuel. So I believe that we have opportunities here as a port. We can sell, and the operators can own the future transit terminals here as well. Now, when it comes to regionalization and new corridors are important because production is coming back to this region. And this means that we have to be prepared that Muuga and Paldiski industrial parks should be sold better as we have free space. Now, when it comes to passengers, that recovery is the key word here. So we hope to reach the 10 million passengers again. This is something which will definitely happen. And today in this building here, we signed memorandum of understanding with the mayors of Tallinn and Helsinki. So this is three operator agreement. So our operators, which is Tallinn, Viking Line, Eckerö Line, participate. So this is a memorandum for green corridors. We now need to discuss this in a little bit greater detail. This is green tourism, green traveling, and cargo in the future. So we believe that in next 5 to 10 years, a lot of people would prefer green travel. This will bring in new clients. This is also a good information for the investors. And when we use this concept, we can get financing as well. So my tie has some green elements on it as well. So because this is a very strategically important factor for us, how to support passenger business. And it's really good that all these important parties were behind the table and they all understand it the same way and they're making effort for the green transition. Also, to be honest, then when we also met the management of Stockholm port and they have seen how far we managed to get with Helsinki, then they would like to have a green corridor Stockholm as well. We have already made investments into these elements, so the question is of this entire concept being developed, which will then bring us new passengers. Then when it comes to the joint marketing of the cruise business, then it's important. We're not only selling a good destination, but we have to do it jointly on the Baltic Sea. This is a joint marketing, which is very important, and we are working on it. Now, regarding our own infrastructure and investments, then we have one terminal which needs renovation, which is Terminal A. And my colleagues will talk about the architectural competition. The other terminals and galleries are ready. We own them. We have fixed them. So the cruise terminal here, you can see it functions really well. And it has also received the Green Key Award. So it's a green building with very low costs. So these are the important things we have to have if you want to operate in a modern tourism and cruise business. Now looking at the shipping. So offshore business is a special business model. And you can see it is growing. So that we have one vessel right now, which is Botnica. So if we talk about Europe or the Baltic Sea, then many countries have discovered that offshore wind farms are very important when it comes to green transition. Both Finland and Sweden have mapped out many areas. So we are hoping that to use Paldiski Harbour and to use Botnica so we can offer construction and maintenance for offshore wind farms. So summer this year showed very clearly that green transition is going to impact also the ore mining business because, for example, for British Petroleum, we carried out the decommissioning of an oil rig. So some of the oil rigs will be removed. When it comes to wind farms, then wind farms do exist in the rest of Europe. We're just lagging behind. They are already replacing the wind farms with a new generation of generators. So there's a lot of work in this field. So therefore, we are analyzing very carefully the reasoning behind building another offshore vessel. We can see that this market is showing growth and the charter day prices are very good. So there's a lot of work to be done. So this maintenance fleet should be quite diverse. They could use some smaller vessels as well. So this is an analysis we are carrying out right now, and the decisions hopefully will take place next year. Now, electrification of our own vessels. So we are preparing for the procurement for the next period. So these things are connected. Also, we believe that we can have electric vessels going to this island of Saaremaa. We need some investments, but not so much. But we have 4 new vessels because they're using already electric engines or thrusters. So the question is, how do you produce this energy then? But refitting is not going to be that expensive. So this is something which needs to be timed correctly so we can see the green impact and the cost impact as well. So this is something we will be analyzing. So I'm not going to discuss real estate. For real estate, it's right now a support business, a rising star probably in the future. Now, before I'll give the floor to Piret, do you have any questions? Any comments? Maybe some good ideas, anything to say about the future. So if not, I would like to give the floor to Piret. Good afternoon, everyone. So I have the pleasure to talk about the real estate here for the first time. My name is Piret, and I've been working for the port about 6 years, but I've been involved in this real estate investment sector for over 20 years. So today I will be discussing the Old City Harbour area. So that you would all know what we're discussing, then I have indicated the Old City Harbour area. So this is what is owned by the Port of Tallinn. So this includes all these yellow real estate, yellow areas of real estate where we already have the building lease, so Kohi Aidad. Then there is a warehouse of Super Alko, and the last auction we had for Laeva Street 5. So this is in 2022 because where we had the building permit already in place. So these are the contracts which are already all in place. And then we have planning permissions which are currently ongoing, and I'm going to discuss it a little bit later. So 2017, time flies. Then we developed our master plan, which was developed by the International Architects Bureau of Zaha Hadid, so they won it. And based on this, we have divided this Old City Harbour area based on different activities. So blue area is going to be for the port activity. So some of the areas in front of the terminals is going to be a public space accessible for everyone. And here the roof promenade of the cruise terminal as well. Orange areas. So these are the real estate development areas. So from the Reidi Tee promenade, which is already completed, and then this is the Tallinn traffic area. So this is the area between that. Then the area around the basin, and then area between Logi Street and Pööri Street. So on the other side, the neighbor is the municipality of the city of Tallinn and the city hall and its development. Then from Vööri Street towards the sea, there is a private development, and they have an existing planning permission. So this is an area which is going to be developed as well. So this is a very attractive area. We can see that as there is a lot of interest from the bigger developers. So this kind of introduction, I need to do quite a lot to tell people what we are planning. So we have 6 detailed planning permission right now, which are in process. So they include all the Old City Harbour area real estate, which is owned by the Port of Tallinn. So these are the planning permissions for Terminal A, North area, then Admiralty Basin, and then on the other side, Reidi Tee. Then there's also 2 real estates, 2 plots there, which are owned by the port, and the detailed planning is Tuukri Street, 1719. So this is the last one on the list here. So in cooperation with the City of Tallinn, we are in the process of acquiring detailed planning permission. So if the detailed planning permission process is new for you and you don't know how it works, then I'm going to tell you in greater detail how it works, what we have already done, and what we can look forward to. Then in 2017, the master plan was ready. Then it took 2 more years. Then we had the blueprint for the planning permission, which were negotiated many times over with the city of Tallinn. So this entire process is actually a process of negotiations with the public, also with the city of Tallinn, with the architects, because we want to find this compromise which will be suitable for everybody. A very big challenge at the beginning was to make sure that the Estonian architects are happy with the London Architects Bureau solution by the Zaha Hadid architects. Usually this is a well-known name for other clients in Europe, but we had to make sure that this plan is suitable for the Estonian architects. So we had a lot of compromises and found the suitable solutions, which makes this Old City Harbour area even more attractive in the future. So we submitted our blueprint 3 times to the municipality, but there was also a challenge because the city of Tallinn also changed their mind a few times. So of course this is a high responsibility area because this is a very important seaside area. But we have found the solutions with the city of Tallinn, which was suitable for them as well. So then the public introduction of blueprints was organized at the end of 2022, and the public discussion was held. So that was done in January 2023, so early on this year. Now this year, we've been working with utilities and technical systems because this entire area needs water systems, sewer systems, rainwater, heating, cooling, so electricity. So these are the solutions which have been all developed. And now last week we submitted 4 requests for the detailed planning permission for the approval process. So now the officials are going to review all these materials. They can have their comments and then going to submit it again. So we want to reach the approval stage and then we will involve the public again. We ask people's opinions and proposals. So this is an ongoing dialogue. So when it comes to the utilities and technical systems, then actually the nothing changed on the ground because all the systems went underground and we did not have to sacrifice any space above ground. Right now, then if we look at the timetable, it really depends how the city of Tallinn is going to approve this planning permission because we have had very good cooperation. So hopefully 2024-25 there will be an established planning permission in place, and that means that we can ask for building permission and then we can start actually building and we can develop our Old City Harbour real estate. So if you have any questions, then please ask them during the presentation, or you can also ask them after the presentation. Another important aspect was the role of Port of Tallinn when it comes to the real estate development. So the entire project of real estate, as an owner, we have a long-term view because the city space development is very closely interlinked to passenger business as well, because we want to make sure that the city of Tallinn will be an attractive destination. Because right now the port area is we have vacant lots and parking areas, but we want to create places around us where people would want to come. So it's not that people will come through the port area and go to the old town, but this area itself will be part of the city space. So we try to find balance between the port activities and real estate development. So they don't have to oppose each other, but rather these are the things which can be complementary. So the port activity can be disturbing when it comes to the urban space, but we want to make sure that it will disturb the city as little as possible, and we would see a good balance here. So we are not going to reinvent the wheel here, but rather we are looking at the best examples of the city space developments. So we want to make sure that they are adapted to the Estonian conditions, and we try to find new innovative solutions. So, for example, we have looked at the Hamburg port, and Copenhagen is also a very good role model. So we have many examples in Europe, but we are looking at the local perspective as well. So the port itself would like to see that there is a uniform development that will be attractive city space, because if you look at the neighborhood, then we do not really see uniform architectural solutions in this area, but we want to assume this role and responsibility that this area, which is near the port of Tallinn, then this is a nice, interesting, well-balanced urban space. Next, what is our role in the development activities? So there are buildings related to the port activities, terminals, and the surrounding areas. So we're going to develop these ourselves, and we will remain as the owners of these assets. Now, how are we going to develop business facilities and partner buildings, residential areas? Then we're competing with other growth projects as well. So this is a smart investment, because right now we can't say that we're doing everything based on the same model, but rather we want to see the ratio of risk and benefit, because we do not want to assume too much of a risk, but rather they have to be attractive for the port as the owner. So when it comes to commercial buildings, then one of the options is the establishment of the building lease, which is available for 99 years, which can be extended. There is a legislative requirements. And then we also think about partnerships, because you can have this kind of joint venture projects where we involve developers and investors, and then the port can participate as the with the land, or the port can make additional investments. Now, when it comes to the commercial developments, can we be real estate developers here? It really depends how beneficial this project is going to be for the port. So now if we have apartment buildings with some commercial space, then the port can provide the long-term building lease. So this entire concept of real estate development we are thinking about the Terminal D. So this is 5 hectares area. There was a bridge, there is a promenade, roof promenade on cruise terminal, parking house, and Terminal D. And this parking facility gave us a possibility to get the cars off the outdoor space and make this space look a lot nicer. So now how this area is going to be developed exactly, I'm going to discuss the values and principles, which were our guiding principles. So master plan described a promenade through the Old City Harbour area. So this is a nice walking area for the local people and convenient for the passengers. So in cooperation with the city, we found that this is a nice linear park area through the Old City Harbour. So this is a green area on Kadriorg Park side, and then we have the Old City Bastion area. And now this gives a possibility for people to move through this green corridor all the way to the sea. So this is part of the seashore promenade, which is going to be an attractive green area for promenading in Tallinn. So we're starting from the cruise terminal. So this is part of the Green Capital project. So this is a temporary green promenade from the cruise terminal all the way to the fish market promenade. So this is the first and temporary solution here. But when it comes to the linear park, then this is going to be a nice area. We have agreed with the city that it's going to be about 28 meters wide. So we will have footpaths, cycle paths, and also greeneries, shrubbery, trees. So it's going to be a nice area for walking. Now, one of the goals is to open the city to the sea, because the city of Tallinn has developed its own development strategy of 2035, where we have described our values as well in coordination with the city. Because this is where we are in the city of Tallinn, and this is a very good basis for cooperation that we follow the same principles. So we are creating new access, because access is very important when it comes to the real estate development. So we have access to the sea. So we want to open the city up to the sea so people can come here. You don't have to own anything here, but this is a public space where you can just walk around. Then everything is available in the one area. This is the concept of 15-minute city. So everything is within a walking distance or bike ride distance. So everything you need is close by. So offices, apartments, businesses, culture. So the city of Tallinn will be more attractive for tourism, education as well, entertainment. So, and then services which will be available in lower floors of buildings. We have agreed this with the city as well, that we are not planning apartments for the ground floors, but there's going to be small shops and cafes. So all these concepts can be developed, because we have a lot of passengers here every year. Then this is going to be supporting the tenants and the business owners. So this is going to be a very good combination. And if you're talking about the clients outside, for when it comes to investors or tenants, then it's very important for them that this is a multifunctional area, because this assures that we have life here 24/7. Now, if you look at the mobility, so from the climate neutrality point of view, this is one of the objectives, that this is going to be part of the development. So mobility and transport in the city of Tallinn is the main cause of CO2 emissions. So we want to reduce the impact of transport, and we want to do it in a smart way. So we are planning foot and cycle paths, so people who live in the city center don't have to own a car, but rather it's convenient for them to go anywhere on foot or by bike. So it's unless the weather is really bad. Public transport, this is what we are working on a daily basis. It's very important to have a good tram connection. 2025 February is the latest date for the completion, and there is going to be a tram stop in front of Terminal A. And this is going to support the north area development. This is the area which is near the cruise terminal, because the street here is right now a very narrow corridor for mobility. it is difficult to use when the ships are coming in. So it's easier to take public transport, and I'm sure that we will have bus lanes coming in as well. Now we are looking at the possibilities to park the cars in this new development, and we believe that the future is more car as a service. So in the city, if you live in the city center, then owning a car is not going to be that important, but it's the use of car. And since the car is there as a service, then we can have less parking areas because it's very expensive to use the land by the sea. People can book the cars, the sort of short-term car rental, car sharing services. There's all the Bolt Drive, CityBee are good examples here. But if you have the car which is available in an underground parking lot, then it's easy to use and you don't need to buy your own parking space, but you can just use cars. So this is something which has been very well already functioning in Hamburg, but it's a new concept and people need to get used to it. But it's climate friendly and it's also less costly for users. When it comes to cars, then the planning permission allows also for electricity available, so we can have charging stations more than the regulation requires. So one underground floor is going to be a new charging area, so it's possible to charge your cars in the parking area. Now, next, renewable energy sources. Energy is very important when it comes to the climate neutrality. This cruise terminal is using right now heat generated or the cooling generated from seawater. So we are planning to use seawater for that purpose. So this is going to be an innovative solution. Nordic countries are already using it, and in Helsinki is planning to do the same. We don't only have local people here, but we have also passengers here. We always have to bear in their comfort in mind. Then this kind of public space, which is diverse and comfortable, is very important for us. So the people who will buy apartments, our clients and the users of commercial spaces are very clever and they know what they want. So it's not to have maximum capacity, which is the key. Well, we want to make sure that this public space is equally important. So everything which is around this building. When it comes to the Terminal D planning permission, then it comes with an obligation to create a plan to provide a plot for the use of designated municipal educational institutions. So in cooperation with the City Planning Department, we have agreed that the address of Reidi tee 12, which is on the other side of Reidi tee, is on the Kadriorg Park side, that there is a plot which is a suitable location, and the city wants to build a basic school there. So the port will do the planning. So this is part of the Tuukri planning permission. So, and then we have to hand this plot over to the city. So at one hand, it's an obligation, but at the other hand, when it comes to the real estate development, it does add a lot. So the development of the private kindergarten is important in the north area on the cruise terminal side, and then the basic school, which is going to be developed later, then this is going to be a natural part of the real estate development project. So this is quite extensive. So if we talk about 2,000 apartments, and this is about 300,000 square meters above ground, then these are the important elements which come with the development of space, and this again supports this concept of a 15-minute city. So we have many investments into port activity to make sure that this environment will be comfortable. So smart port concept allows us to make sure that these parking areas for trucks in the Old City Harbour area will disappear, and this is where this real estate development is going to happen. So this is both on the Terminal A and D side. So these trucks will be just outside Tallinn. They don't have to park in the harbour area. So this allows us to free this area for real estate. Then shore electricity, so onshore power for ships. So this allows us to reduce CO2 emissions. It reduces noise and vibration, improving our living environment. Automated docking is auto-mooring is important, reducing the docking time, reducing CO2 emission, and also reducing noise in the urban environment. So these are important activities and investment in the port area which support our real estate development. In the future, we are also providing shore electricity for cruise vessels. So this is all based on the EU directives, and we are working so we can provide these opportunities in the future. So here we have the overview. Because this area is so big, we have excluded the south area actually. But if you have any questions, then this is good basis so I can explain to you what is going to happen and where. This is quite a technical blueprint, but I'm sure that what I told you is going to help you to understand it better. So I can show you, this is the Admiralty Basin. So this is the area which is owned by the Port of Tallinn. And this is where we're going to have a new city square right next to the yacht harbour. This green corridor here, which is on parallel to Reidi, the promenade, so comes from this south area detailed planning permission. Some of it has already been built near Terminal D. There is a bridge, and now there's new Terminal A. Right now we are holding competition, and I'm sure jury will make a decision soon, and then you can see it in media as well what the new Terminal A is going to look like. There is city space development, urban space development is very important. We have the green corridor, so this linear park will start in front of the terminal building. So the buses will go to the seaside behind the terminal. So this area will be nice for foot and cycle traffic. So the tram stop will be in front of the new Terminal A. The promenade will continue all the way to the cruise terminal. And we have small squares, nice areas, because we have to take into account that there are sometimes are strong winds. We can have a lot of rain. So we have the small sheltered areas in this region. But I'm ready to answer your questions if you have any. And if there are no questions right now, then my contact information is available on the website, so you can always contact me if you have some proposals. Also, I'll be very happy to receive them. Thank you. And now I'd like to give the floor to Margus. Thank you very much for this very thorough overview. My name is Margus Vihman. I'm the CCO of the Port of Tallinn, and I'd like to talk about the projects which will generate revenue in the future. So I will first start with the Russian cargo, which is now gone, and we cannot see it returning anytime soon. So we already knew it in advance, and we've been working on the north-south cargo flows. So what is important here, what is supporting us here, is that across the world we can see this nearshoring again, that the production is returning from Asia. Not all the production will come back, but about 20 to 30% will come back. So if Estonia is a small country and we cannot bring a lot of production to Estonia, but in Europe there are some other countries where the production goes, like Poland and Bulgaria, Romania, very popular. But in order for the factories in Finland and Sweden to get the products, then they have to access it. And we can see this row, so is being used a lot, so the trucks go to Finland and Sweden. So if in Finland and Sweden this year the economic crisis started in the second quarter, then our ro volumes in the second half of the year created us extra volume. So in third quarter, we can see a bit of a decline, but year on year, we can see growth. So what else is good here is that when it comes to the ro growth, we do not need to invest much because we have two quays at Muuga where we could add another operator, Paldiski. We do not have much space, but we can add one more operator. If we were to add more, then we'd need to build new quays. A good example here is that in Muuga, Vuosaari, we have Ecoroline operating. And last year, or this year rather, we have a double ramp. It was an investment, but meant additional vessel calls right away because half of the revenue comes from vessel calls, so that means it contributes strongly to the profit. So when we are looking at the major shipping companies, we have offered the Muuga Vuosaari option and Muuga Stockholm. We have also offered new opportunities to connect Paldiski to Stockholm or other harbors near Stockholm. We have not signed any contracts yet, but I'm sure that we will be able to bring some of the shipping lines in. I'm sure you have all heard of Rail Baltica. So it has been postponed now to 2030, and Muuga train connection construction has also been postponed for 2 years, but there is a lot of interest. Why there's a certainty is that we have a clear statement that Rail Baltica will be completed, and there's a clear message from Europe as well that it is going to be financed. So this is also where we can offer Muuga industrial park services. So Muuga is the only port in the Baltic countries where the trains run inside the port territory, because Latvian ports are not connected. They are considering where they would need to redesign it again, but that means they have to pay for it themselves. And Klaipėda is connected in Lithuania with the European connection, but they cannot assemble trains there. So if someone wanted to put cargo from Russian railways to the European gauge, then Muuga is going to be the best place in the Baltic countries to do so. So as you know, the Baltic is a South Harbour. There is a new quay being built. Construction has been already started in May. And some of the projects in the United States have been suspended, and they're saying that the offshore wind energy is too expensive. But in the Baltic Sea, this is not really visible yet. We can see that there is a lot of interest from Poland, and we have made first proposals yet. There is an interest when it for Lithuanian Palanga Park. There is a capability in the Klaipėda harbour as well. to serve this big jack-up vessels, but at the same time, they would need additional capacity. And of course, if you look at the Estonian parks, which will be completed by 2028, then we can offer maintenance services to them as well. For all the Estonian developers, we have signed the memorandum of understanding, and with the Polish and German developers, we have signed it as well. We have also had negotiations with two big producers. I can't mention their names, but one of them is Spanish, the other one is German. So if you're familiar with this context, then you know which companies I'm talking about. Then we have Van Noort, which is one of the biggest builders, but at the same time they are co-owner of Sara Wind Energy. So we have consulted with them as well. So they have also advised us on what kind of quay we need to build so that we can use it as efficiently as possible in the future. Now a little bit about the industrial park. This is a Paldiski South Harbour. It's a little bit different picture compared to the usual, but this is what we are offering to the offshore wind farm developers. Some of the land we own, and this 37 hectares is owned here by our partners. STV is also owner, who is a forwarder in this port. And there is a lot of interest today, because when we are building offshore wind farms, then there has to be storage areas, also assembly areas, where all the gondolas and the masts will need to be fitted. We have a lot of green fuel projects, so we're going to discuss later. So if today all the interested parties would say that they want to rent some land tomorrow, then we will be short of land. Muuga. Then we can see that there is not such a boom, but Rail Baltica has brought in some interested party. There is a hydrogen project at Muuga port as well. So this enables us to install one wind turbine, and this will bring some additional clients for us, because we can offer energy in better terms, because right now, foreign investors see that we have a shortage of labor and our electricity price is also too high. Now, talking about alternative fuels, then our goal in the future in all our ports is to offer alternative fuels. And as you know, as of next year, there's going to be CO2 quota applied to shipping lines, so they have to buy 40% of the CO2 emissions with a quota. Then by 2025, 70%, and 2026, already 100%. So this is a very quick transition. So this is a tax which is going to be applied, and all the shipping companies today are trying to transfer their business onto green fuel. In Paldiski, we have two interested parties. There's one company who would like to produce a green methanol in Estonia. And what is also good is the methanol can be handled using the same pipelines which are used for oil products right now. We can transport it with the same tanks, and we can keep them in the same barrels. So in long term, this could be one of the products which will replace Russian oil products. Then we have a project for ammonia. Ammonia is not that simple, because if you mix that with regular fuel, then you can transport it in the same pipelines, and you can keep it in same tanks. And you can transport them with the vessels, with the same vessels, but you really need a new infrastructure for it. But at the same time, the existing quays can be used. And then we have a hydrogen project. So this is a small project at Muuga. But if you look at the alternative fuel projects, then hydrogen perhaps is something which is furthest away, because the others are easier to implement. Right now in Muuga, we planning to have a hydrogen tanking station, some other trucks which serve this area, and Hala is also going to use a hydrogen for their lifting equipment. Then the last one is a biodiesel, which we have an existing tenant in Paldiski. So they want to start production of biodiesel production, which can use the existing infrastructure. Another interesting project which has been mentioned is the Ukrainian grain. As you know, Ukrainians have a problem transporting the grain out of the Black Sea ports because of the war. And it is really not possible to handle this huge volume. So it's still over 20 million tons per year. They can't transport it all through Polish or Romanian ports. So our Ministry of Climate and the Deputy Secretary General Kaupo Läänerand has been raising this topic, and our Prime Minister has written a letter to Ursula von der Leyen offering the Estonian ports as an alternative for the export of Ukrainian grain. Estonian potential is about 10 million tons. It can be done through Latvia and Lithuania. There are many options. One of them is to bring the grain in by train through Poland and then distribute it to the Baltic harbors. And the second option, which is actually better for us, to load the grain on smaller vessels in Poland, bring it to Muuga, and here it can be exported with bigger vessels. And why? It's because we can handle a larger vessels with bigger tonnage. So an obstacle today is that from the business point of view, it's not really that beneficial. But in the media, and Ursula von der Leyen has said that 30 euros per ton could be the subsidy which is paid by the European Union, and then it would make the whole thing profitable. So when it comes to passenger traffic, then we don't really have competitors in Estonia because we are significant market power. Now, looking how we can increase the number of passengers is that we have to create the best possible environment for the passengers. Andrus already showed that 75% level has been achieved of the potential volume which we had before. This year we might reach 80% of the previous high volume. And there are a few things we have considered which we can do in order to increase the passenger numbers. One is the green corridor, which was signed today in the cruise terminal. So what we can expect, because right now there are no specific activities in the memorandum which was signed, but these deadlines and activities will be developed. So this will make sure that we have more sustainable business. In the future, we'll probably have this green corridor in Stockholm as well. So today, many passengers do not really understand, why do I have to take a boat? Well, if I can take a plane for 35 or 40 euros, then in the future, taking the boat will be more environmentally friendly. We can use the European facilities because more we can use European facilities, less we need our own funds. Cooperation with research institutions is also very important because if we're looking at the passenger transport right now, then with the existing technology, we can reduce CO2 emissions. But in the future, in order to get 100% reduction or complete climate neutrality, we do need new technologies. So what is interesting when it comes to the green corridor, then we have about 20 of them, but none of them will cover the entire tourist journey. The city transportation, public transportation, ports, terminals, and the shipping companies. Usually there's a green corridor where there are many operators, and one of them is using green fuel, or one shipping line is green. But our goal is to make sure that we can have a completely green movement. Then I'm sure you know that in the cruise business, the times are not the best because there was a COVID crisis first, then there was a war, and today we see the impact of economic depression. Regarding the war, that nobody goes to St. Petersburg anymore, and this was one of the most famous destinations that people wanted to go and see St. Petersburg, and this is why they bought the Baltic cruise. I'm sure the other destinations were really enjoyed by the passengers, but St. Petersburg was the most famous one, but there are no cruises going there today. And of course the Baltic Sea, because most of the tourists came from North America, then they might not feel that the Baltic Sea is so safe, because we of course know that we are in NATO and the war is quite far away. But if you look at the map, then they might not feel as safe. So what do we do here is that we have direct contacts with the cruise companies. We try to explain the situation. We are trying to sell this. We're trying to sell this Baltic Sea basin with other companies. So we are we use this farm tours for bloggers or influencers. And then we have marketing materials in cooperation with other destinations. So we are using also digital marketing. So Stockholm, Helsinki, Poland, Polish ports, and Danish ports. So we have a lot of cooperation with them. And we want to make sure that the cruise passengers keep coming. Now to conclude, what Piret also mentioned, that this development of the port area, that it's going to be one of the places to visit, not that you just get on the ship and off the ship. So one of the areas which needs development is Terminal A, and the architectural competition is right now ongoing. So right now it's being evaluated. So hopefully we'll hear the news soon, and hopefully it's going to look as good as the Terminal D or the cruise terminal. So to sum up, and to continue where Piret left off, is that today the situation is that the revenues have gone down because of the Russian cargo and the slow recovery of passenger numbers. But over last few years, we have many projects which will improve our revenues. Piret did not really talk much about the journey we have already taken through this difficult process of planning permissions, and we cannot guarantee, of course, that these planning permissions will be adopted next year or the year after. But if everything goes well, then 2025 they'll be accepted, and we will see the first revenue coming in from there. So the situation is not that bad. We have new projects, so every crisis means an opportunity. Thank you. Any questions? Now, if you go look left of the Port of Tallinn to the City Hall, so do you know what your neighbors are planning to do there? Is there going to be another harbour? I heard talks about Tallinn wanting to build there, but Tallinn is going to stay in A and B terminals. Yes, indeed, they have officially said that this project is off the table. There is also, we do not know what's going to happen with the City Hall, but maybe the expert can answer. So I would like to comment. As we know, the city has postponed this decision regarding the future of the City Hall. They promised to talk about it last spring, but they have not really said what they're going to do with the City Hall and the neighboring area. When it comes to the Logi Street, they are next door neighbors for us, and they have adopted a planning permission there for commercial and residential buildings. From Vööri Street, there is a Logi project, our neighbor, and they're also planning to build residential areas. So it's about 800 apartments. So there is not going to be another port. Maybe there's going to be a port for a harbor for yachts. Any other questions? We can have a chat over coffee later as well. So I hope that you gained some confidence of the long-term plan of the Port of Tallinn and that we have a short-term plan as well. So in spite of the crisis in short term, we are ready to invest. We have growth projects for Ro-Ro development, for the wind parks. We have plans for fleets. So our message is that we are looking at the long-term business plan and we are making constant investments. So we want to give you these assurances, and this is the end of the presentations. I would also like to thank you all for coming here today, and thank you for your confidence. Thank you.